I'd like to call this meeting of the Community and Economic Development Committee to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Lloyd, Commissioner Winfrey.
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg, Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker. Commissioner Kuzanoff. Commissioner Wayhill.
Here.
Commissioner Davis. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any public comment to the committee? Going once. Public comment. Going twice. Public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on to communications. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sorry, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move it.
Support.
Thank you. All those, a question, discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now, I think we've gone through public comment already, so communications. Update on the dairy site demolition. Mr. Bradshaw.
Thank you. Let me hook this up real quick. Perfect. I just want to give a couple-minute update on the dairy site. So that's where we're doing our recycling education center. A lot has been done up to this point. What I'm actually going to show you is actually what Jared put together on our Facebook page for Genesee County. So if you want to share it with other people, just to give an idea of what we're doing. Staff ended up taking the pictures and Jared put it all together and made it look all fancy. So I'm just going to show you just kind of what it looked like and then kind of what it looks like today. Real quick. Okay, cool. So if you remember, pretty rough site. Overgrowth, graffiti, literally at one of the main intersections coming into the city of Flint. Bernash Wrecking, if you remember, they have a contract for just under $500,000. That funding was graciously provided through the Treasurer's Office, through Treasurer Cherry. They've been hard at work. If you drive by today, all the structures are down. So as we go, this is kind of as it progressed. And so here you can see literally everything's down. They're really doing site cleanup at this point. We're about 53% through the project. So now it's really just cleaning up the site. But I think this picture right here is kind of a really good picture from the standpoint. I drove by that site all the time. You get used to seeing the blight. When you see it from some of those photos and realize with all the stuff at the cultural center across the roadway all the way in there, that corner was really pulling down that entire area. So now when you see it down, you can really start to see how impactful this project's going to be, doing a nice gateway into the city of Flint with a nice county building for our residents. So yeah, 53% done. Should be done by October. You know, with seeded grass, all that kind of good stuff. Next steps are, we have a pretty good, decent amount of funding right now, so we have enough funding to get moving on this. But the next steps is we have to hire an architect. So that's our top priority right now. Our architect's got to get the design done, got to get our bid specs so that we can actually start to put this out for bid. So once we get this out for bid, we can get a construction going. And most importantly is get this thing open. Because I know we all know about recycling events are super popular. The demand is amazing for this type of facility. So the sooner we can get this facility open, the sooner we can go to a regular drop-off at any time for residents. So, questions?
Yes, Commissioner Wayhill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Mr. Bradshaw. Am I remembering that we had an estimate? I know we don't have bids, it sounds like, but $10 million?
Yeah, so for total site, around 10. The number that we're looking at right now is in that 6-ish range, right? With a 10 million over. Some of that is some additional stuff. So from a phasing standpoint, and that's why we still have some funding that we're looking for. So we still have requests out there. So, you know, it's that $6 to $10 million range.
So talk to me about the funding opportunities that we're pursuing. One of those was congressionally directed spending. What are the others?
So we currently have received $900,000 through the state of Michigan for that project that we were successful in receiving. So that's currently what we have now. There is going to be another round of funding through the federal government for facilities to do recycling and recycling type activities. They haven't said when. We know there's a round coming. They won't tell us when it's going to come out, right? So that's another one we're looking for. And then currently our bulk of our funding is actually coming from our ordinance fees. So currently right now we're probably $2.5 million in ordinance fees that we have set aside to actually do this project. So, so we're in good shape as far as that. And then we have the congressional ask right now.
And then I think my last question, and Josh will know about this, I had a constituent, actually it's I think one of Dr. Brown's constituents who wrote me because they saw an article that indicated the company that we had hired to do the demo was out of Ohio, but we know it's Burn Ash, which is local, but I asked Josh offline, you know, through our phones, and Josh, do you mind clarifying that in case anyone else saw the same article?
Yeah, so we hired a contract, or kind of a project manager,
Yep.
and their headquarters is from Ohio. I think they're out of Livonia?
Yep.
Livonia, the local one. So they wrote the spec for the demolition, and then they're managing that demolition contract for us to ensure that we're in compliance with it.
The bulk of the demo work, or all the demo work, is really local
100%
company.
of the demolition work
And then
is
there's a company that has a unique role in trying to manage all that.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Great.
Other questions for Mr. Bradshaw? Thank you, Derek.
You're welcome.
Okay, any old business? Oh, yeah. Let me talk about, just real quickly, you should have received a hard copy of this. It's the Clean Energy Revolution. This is an initiative that is coming down from the feds to, and it's a byproduct of the Inflation Reduction Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. And yesterday, you may have seen a press conference that was held at the Flint River Watershed to sort of promote this clean energy initiative that has come down through, you know, folks like Congressman Kildee, Senator Stabenow, and Peters. And the whole goal is to create more economic growth, healthier and more climate-resistant futures for our area. We will be getting, I think, there has been $1 million allocated toward this initiative to help engage stakeholders and community members to help come up with a plan of action for a more climate-friendly and resilient future. So I just wanted to make that, make you all aware of that, and this packet kind of gives you more information if you have questions. All right, let's move on now to new business. Resolution 2024-800, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Mass Transportation Authority in the amount of $97,671 to provide for transit planning activities. This is fully grant funded.
Move it, or support, whichever.
Well, you can move it. Is there a support? All right. It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions and discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Resolution 802, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Genesee, Lapeer, Shiawassee Region 5 Planning and Development Commission in the amount of $103,145 to provide for regional planning activities. This is fully grant funded. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any question and discussion? Yes, Commissioner Shoemaker.
Could we have a little more insight on how this program is going to work?
Yes, Mr. Bradshaw is going to come up and talk about it.
Thank you. GLS Region 5 is a planning development commission for Genesee, Lapeer, and Shiawassee County. It's a state kind of designated organization. They currently do not have any staff. And so what this is we work and operate as their staff. So instead of them having a whole bunch of staff, we provide the staff resources to them. So that agreement of the $100 and some thousand is literally for our staff in our office to provide those services Services are pretty straightforward, and a lot of those are things that we're doing anyways. We do traffic counting, we do the pavement condition rating where we go out and rate pavement. We do asset management. Those are the bulk of those activities. Yep.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 2024-862, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and AECOM Great Lakes Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $483,558 to provide consulting services for the Genesee County Transportation Safety Action Plan.
I'll move it.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And finally, Resolution 2024-877, approval of a purchase order to Commonwealth Heritage Group LLC for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $51,280 to provide environmental review for community development projects. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from account number ending in 801004.
I'll move it.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any question and discussion? Okay, Mr. Shoemaker.
Just if we could get a little more explanation on this project also, would be helpful.
Thank you. So with our community development projects, and this specifically is for our senior center projects that we had approved with ARPA, we're required by the feds to do a historical and environmental review and archaeological review. So we hired, this is the firm we currently use for our CDBG. So these funds are to pay for the required environmental piece for this consulting firm. 16 projects.
Sent out for bid.
Yes.
Commissioner Wayhill.
Just a thank you to you and Gwyneth, because there was concern at one point where the environmental review was going to, perhaps delay or prevent the extra senior center dollars from being spent. You guys have done a great job. I was at a couple of the meetings, or at least one, maybe two, with my local senior centers. And on top of that, Gwyneth has been copying us every time the review comes in, which is positive. She's sending that out to the commission. So thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, thank you, Mr. Bradshaw. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We have no other business before this committee, so we are adjourned at 5:43. Finance Committee. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order at 5:43 p.m. Can we have a roll call? Can we have a roll call? Oh, okay.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Say here.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg? Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
Present.
Commissioner Kuzma? Commissioner Wayhill?
Here.
Commissioner Davis? We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we have approval of the minutes from July 17th? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comment to the Finance Committee. Is there any public comment to the Finance Committee? Last call for public comment to the Finance Committee. Hearing none, we'll move on to communications. Crystal Simpson, is Crystal here? Oh, there she is. She's going to talk about the proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget.
Good evening.
Good evening.
There should be a copy of the proposed budget book in your board packet. It's 77 pages long, so I did not plan to cover that in great detail this evening. Just to cover a couple things that changed from back in July when we talked about the budget progress at that point. We did have some revisions to revenue. As the budget process goes on, we get some better estimates on those revenues. So that was updated. And then through all of those department meetings, for the budget, we were able to work with the departments and bring those expenditures down in line with our revenues. So the proposed budget that we have for you has a zero use of fund balance for general fund. Some of the other funds are using fund balance. Sometimes that's just a timing thing. They may have received revenue in a previous year. They're not going to have it spent by the end of this fiscal year, so they may have to have the expense next fiscal year. But they do all have enough fund balance to cover that. All of these are balanced budgets under Public Act 2. I did have a copy in case you have any specific questions. This will go to the clerk's office after today's meeting. Will be available to the public there. We also post it on our website so that the public can access it there in case they have any questions. The public meeting will be held next Wednesday at the board meeting in case there's any comments related to the budget. And then hopefully next Wednesday we will adopt the adopted budget for next fiscal year.
Thank you, Ms. Simpson. Are there questions? What questions do you have for Ms. Simpson? Anything about the budget?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I believe the proposed budget is balanced. Is that important? I think that's probably important to let everyone know.
Yes. this
Okay,
is
thank you.
Fully balanced budget.
And Crystal, I would like to personally thank you and your team and really all the department heads for doing such a stellar job. I was able to sit in on the majority of the budget hearings, and I was just really impressed with how thoughtful everyone was with reviewing their budget and putting forth their goals and stating their needs clearly. So thank you for your work. Okay, I think that concludes our communications portion of the agenda. And is there any old business? Okay, new business, Resolution 2024-728, approval of proposed amendment to the 23-24 appropriations resolution, reallocating expenditures in the amount of $100,000 in G-Card Fund 2731.
Move it.
Thank you.
Support.
Is there any question and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 753, is there a motion for approval of a proposed amendment to the 23-24 appropriations resolution with the expenditures reallocating in the amount of $20,000? It's been moved and supported. Is there any question and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 757, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the third quarter investment report.
Move it.
It's been moved and supported. Question and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 761, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the paid county bills for the weeks ending 6/23/24, 6/30/24, and 7/7/24 in the amount of $13,201,083.89.
Move it.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any question and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 784, approval of a purchase order to BSNA in an amount not to exceed $55,714 to provide for the annual software maintenance charge. The cost of the PO will be paid from those accounts.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Question and discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 787, approval of a purchase order to Dell for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $114,255 to provide for the purchase of computers and equipment.
So move.
It's been moved. Is there support?
Support.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 797, forwarding to receive and file a copy of the 2023 Genesee County Retirement Commission Annual Report.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Question and discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 849, approval of a proposed budget amendment to the 23-24 appropriations resolution for various line items as described in the attached budget adjustment request.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Question and discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 890, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Paylocity in an amount not to exceed $36,840.
So move.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to provide a learning management system to distribute track and field and audit trainings. Question and discussion for that? Yes, Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is, one, is this just for the purchase of the actual system? Is this the annual maintenance charge for the system included?
Mike is going to come up and answer.
It's both, I think. It's a license to utilize that service. We already have a Paylocity contract, as you know, so this is an extension of it.
So from what we know, if I may, Madam Chair, I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
So from what we know is there's no limit on users or usage. It's just a month, you're obviously a monthly fee to use the system and then a purchase fee of the initial software again?
Well, technically, the limit is the number of users. It's the number of employees we've already pre-registered. So it's that same limit. It's for employees.
If we understand, so if we change the amount of employees though, obviously if we increased it, we're gonna pay more.
We would.
And you'll come back to us if it's over a certain amount, obviously, like always. Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Are there other questions for Mike before he takes his seat? Okay, I think we're ready for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Is there any other business before the Finance Committee? I don't see any, so we are adjourned at 5:51.
Can't hear you. I
Yeah,
can't
he
hear
said he
you.
can't hear.
All right, good evening. Governmental Operations Committee called to order at 5:52 PM. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Present.
Commissioner Winfrey?
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg? Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
President.
Commissioner Kuzma? Commissioner Wayhill?
Here.
Commissioner Davis?
All right, we have the approval of the minutes from July 17th, 2024. It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Do we have any public comment to this committee? Any public comment to governmental operations? Any public comment? No public comment. We have no communications that are listed, no old business. Under new business, we have Resolution 2024-537, approval of a purchase order to Tech 84 for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $365,000 to provide for the purchase of 2 full-body scanners. The cost for the purchase order will be paid from the following accounts. Moved and supported. Is there discussion? Commissioner Lloyd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can someone speak to this? Specifically, I'd like to know where these scanners are going to be used. I'm sure it's, the details probably in the packet or something, but
If you'd introduce yourself, and
Yes, Michael
then,
Tokarczyk, Undersheriff. Through the chair, Commissioner Lloyd, they are going to be used at the jail. And what this helps us do is it will stop, I can't tell you the disgusting places that people will hide things at. And it's almost like it's like the ones at the airport.
Sure.
And it'll show if somebody's trying to bring something in anywhere on their body
sure.
or
And
in their body.
so it seems like this is something that will not only make the inmates safer, but the staff safer.
Yes, and save dollars toward the county because then we won't have to ship people to the hospital when something bad happens.
Right, thank you. And then the other thing is the following account, so it's not grant funded, so it's, all right, thank you, I'm good.
Federal grant funded, yes, sir.
It is?
Yes,
say that.
the KILD dollars that came in this year, sir.
Okay, all right. I don't know if we normally list that as a grant or not, but thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other discussion? We have Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you. Through the chair, just a couple questions. Account 1010-316-01-578, what account is that?
Probably in the general fund, but it's just where the grant lands. So
Crystal's,
Thank you.
So there's actually 3 funding sources for this. There's the GIVE grant, which part of it came through for the Ignite. There's the BURN grant, which is what you're referring to with the Kildee money. And then there's a forfeiture money that's also being used out of their forfeiture fund. So no general funds.
Is that what would be in account 1010 then?
Yes.
Okay. 'Cause
Typically,
that's
that would
where-
mean we're
yes,
spending general fund money, but in
that's-
this
well,
case,
that's
it's just
why
a separate department for that grant.
Thank you,
Yes.
clarifying.
And what the forfeiture does is if anything happens, it pays for the insurance.
Commissioner?
So to continue on what you said, is there like a warranty on these machines then, a guarantee? So we won't have any repairs on them for so long, like a year or 6
I don't
months?
have the exact stats on that. I know that our forfeiture is going to pay for the insurance on them.
Is it, just question, just.
Commissioner?
silly, is there an option to buy, not to use the term extended warranty, but an extended warranty on these? Because I know.
That's what the forfeiture is paying for, yes.
Is the warranty
Extended warranty, I'm sorry.
portion? No, that's okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure, because, unfortunately, sometimes I'm sure some of these, and some things probably won't be covered under warranty, because I'm sure some of the people you're going to put in there are not willingly going in there, so I have some concerns there, but thank you for that. And then, this is a budgeted expense, or this is additional?
It's in the budget.
Okay,
those
super.
budgets for those grants.
Thank you.
All right, additional discussion, Commissioner Lloyd.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. One question for Crystal. So the grants that are helping to pay for this, we've already accepted those grants? Okay, all right.
Yeah, so most of them are pretty broad with equipment, and this is just something they brought forward to fund with those.
Sure. Thank you.
Do we have additional discussion or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. We do have another resolution, 777, but it's my understanding it's going to be dropped. I don't know, Clerk Clemens, would you mind coming up? Maybe Mr. Freeman can speak to it as well.
Yeah, this was a request from both the clerk and IT. They just want to review a security piece a little bit more. The clerk who can speak to it said that this isn't a timeliness issue, that it is approved today. So we're just making sure we're doing all of our due diligence on it.
So this is this contract with Fiddler would be for our record management system. So we're going through the process. We've had a lot of meetings with IT. We've gone through RFP on this. There's just one additional touch base that we want to do before we're ready to make it go through for a vote.
So without opposition, we'll drop this from the agenda. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Thank you, Josh. Next resolution, -2024-785, approval of a purchase order to Kentwood for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $57,584.33 to provide for the purchase of furniture in the prosecutor's space. The cost of this purchase order will be paid from the accounts listed. It's been moved and supported. Do we have discussion? Mr. Shoemaker.
Just quick, are we replacing furniture? We have new space that we're putting new furniture in, or?
If you would identify yourself and then respond.
Tammy Phillips, Chief Assistant Prosecutor. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Shoemaker, the High Crimes Community Support Grant that Mr. Layton secured from the state brought in an influx of money to allow us to increase our staff, which necessitated some additional space. So we did the best that we could to reuse furniture that we had, to reuse pieces of furniture that we had, but some of the pieces were beyond reuse, and we had a need to add some additional pieces. So that is to re-outfit an area in the second floor of McCree. It's losing me what used to wellness. The wellness used to be up there near the health department. Mr. Freeman arranged for us to take over some of that space. We had to relocate one of our bureaus, the Crime Victim Services Bureau, up there. So we have 7 staff members that were placed up there. Wellness took the furniture with them, so we had to put new furniture in there. That's a good piece of it.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
So my understanding is correct, that the furniture's grant funded also?
Yes.
And then for the staff that we've hired them already?
Yes.
If the grant terminates, will we continue with the program, or is that kind of like when the grant's gone, they're gone?
I think that this had been a large topic of discussion. This grant, the High Crimes Community Support Grant, was $3 million that was secured basically this fiscal year that's now ending. It has already been renewed in the state's budget for next fiscal year, and the goal of the grant is sustainable funding for county prosecutors through the state. So one answer to the question is we believe that it will be continually funded, and as with all grants, if it isn't continued, then we have some hard decisions.
We have additional discussion. Commissioner Lloyd.
Just a quick piece on furniture. I'm all set. You know, I think, thank you. I think what we're going to find, especially when we relocate out of this building, if there were any kind of loss, we're going to find that most of our furniture is probably, from an accounting standpoint, reached the end of its actual useful life in terms of insuring it or accounting for it in terms of the county's accounting. And so I know that as we transition to the new facility, you know, there'll be new furniture and so on and so forth, but maybe that's something we look at in the future as well, the older facilities that we'll still be utilizing and what it looks like to maybe budget to start maybe swapping out some of the older furniture and doing some things that are more ergonomic friendly and some things that may be more comfortable and so on and so forth. So just wanted to raise that. I'm sure that furniture is probably, you know, 20 years old or more. 25 years old more. You know, so it's worth virtually zero. Actually, it's worth nothing, so.
I'm still using my college futon, Commissioner. What's wrong with that?
And that's why you have back issues, sir.
All right, is there additional discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion is carried. Resolution 2024-869, approval of a contract between Genesee County and Peacekeepers International for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to provide training to law enforcement and community members. It's been moved and supported. Is there discussion? Commissioner Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can we have someone talk about the nature of the training?
Thank you, Dr. Brown, Mr. Chair. I'm the third best person in the office to explain this. You may remember that we created a Bureau of Restorative Justice and Violence Reduction Strategies. Jay Snodgrass is our bureau chief who heads that up. He has worked to a large extent with Captain Muhammad of the Peacekeepers Group. The Sheriff's Department and the City of Flint Police have also partnered with the Peacekeepers Group. You may have seen in the news, we had a big unveiling of some activities of the Peacekeepers within our city. Their slogan is squash the beef before the grief, to try and really impact particularly some of the juvenile, young adolescent, youth violence in the community. So that is how we kind of formed this relationship with Peacekeepers International. There's been a long period of time where Peacekeepers has trained groups of police officers, kind of some of the implicit bias reduction training. They train police officers. They also separately train community members in the same thing. Mr. Snodgrass proposed to them, what if we trained both of those groups of people together to better interact with each other? Peacekeepers thought it was a great idea. We had buy-in from the various police departments to do this who have seen the value. This is being funded through the High Crimes Community Support Grant, which requires us to link this to some measure of how we are reducing case backlog by doing this. One of the longtime issues that we have had in the community is a lack of trust of our citizens and law enforcement. It causes people to not want to come forward to begin with, so we're missing that piece of information, so our cases aren't as strong, so they take longer and linger in the system. Or oftentimes, the problem is the lack of trust is they won't show up and testify in court. Maybe they talked to the police, but then they don't trust the system. So one big piece of it is that we believe that this will help reduce our case backlog by increasing that all-important community trust with police and the criminal justice system. Separately, there's reason to believe that there would be a huge return on investment in violence reduction. Mr. Snodgrass, we said up to $50,000 because Mr. Snodgrass has already been in communication with other entities in the county to help defray some of that cost. So we may not have to foot the bill for the whole $50,000. So that would be great. It also shows that we have a lot of great support in the community for this project.
All right, Commissioner Winfrey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I just wanted to echo that the peacekeepers are doing a great job in the community, both on a proactive basis in terms of conflict resolution and in terms of intervention in our community. They did a great job in reducing the violence, and they're out in the streets constantly, remediating conflicts between rival gangs and, other community conflicts. And I just want to echo and give my support for the Peacekeepers group.
Okay. Do we have additional discussion, questions? Commissioner Brown.
Can you remind me, squash the beef before the
grief.
the grief? Thank you.
Additional discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is carried. Mr. Freeman, other business?
Yes, Brian and Corporation Council has been working on a project with the EPA for, I don't know, maybe longer than my youngest son's been alive. I don't know, it's been an ongoing thing. They've actually had meetings even this week, so there'll be a resolution coming to you directly to the board next week to help resolve this, and Brian can kind of talk a little bit about what that is and what that means.
Just very quickly, back in 2016, there was a complaint filed against the city, the county, and the state regarding the water crisis. The county responded by saying the county has nothing to do with the Flint water. I won't go into details, but we had nothing to do with providing or doing anything with the water provided to the Flint citizens. So we responded as such, and then in 2019, 3 years later, we finally heard back from the EPA, who told us that we're not going to do any investigation into the complaint, but much like all of our other grants, I think the Drain Commission gets funds through a revolving water fund that comes through the EPA. So just like every other grant, there's the grant agreement requires the county to have a non-discrimination policy and procedures and a complaint form and a whole system put in place for complaints like this. We didn't have it, so we put it together over the past, it started in 2019, COVID hit, so it was put on the back burner. We finally got everything put together probably a year and a half to 2 years ago, and the EPA signed off on it, but we need to bring it to the board to formalize it, so formally adopt it next week. And we got to put stuff on our website, and there's got to be training involved through HR and the onboarding process for new hires. And so next week, it'll be the formal adoption of the policy.
That'll be a resolution that comes, it'll be an add-on to the agenda. You're just not seeing it tonight, so wanted to
Thank
give you a
you,
heads up.
gentlemen. Any other business? All right, meeting adjourned at 6:09 PM.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, we're going to call to order. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Lloyd?
Here.
Sure.
I wanted to, I'm sorry, I wanted to wish our chair luck with this agenda because it's a lengthy one. Present.
Commissioner
Well, I
Winfrey?
got a few surprises here.
Commissioner Ellenberg? Commissioner Brown?
Here.
Commissioner Avery?
Here.
Commissioner Shoemaker?
Present.
Commissioner Kuzma? Commissioner Wayhill?
Here.
Commissioner Davis?
Okay, it's time the chair entertain a motion to approve our minutes.
Move them. Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion, questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Are there any public comments to this committee? Any public comments to this committee? Any public comments to this committee? Public comments are closed. Any communications?
None.
No old business, new business. Resolution 24-729, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the CS Mott Community College in an amount not to exceed $157,760 to provide early Head Start services. The term of the agreement is July 1, 24 through June 30th, 25.
So moved.
Fully grant funded. Properly moved and supported. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I think Commissioner Wayhill is going to abstain.
Oh, I abstain, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I have an emergency here, so I apologize, I abstain.
Okay, Resolution 2024-730, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Beecher School District in an amount not to exceed $740,896 to provide early Head Start services.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24754, approval of a grant award from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services in the amount of $1,338,173 to provide for the waiver of local match for Genesee County's 2023-24 Head Start and Early Head Start program. Did it get a support?
Yep.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24770, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Ascension at Home in an amount not to exceed $150,000 per year to provide services for Genesee County's Healthy Start Initiative. The term of this agreement is May 1, 24 through March 31st, 29. Fully grant funded. Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24804, approval of request to submit the Child and Adult Care Food Program application in the amount of $956,519.67 to provide meals for the 2024-25
So moved.
Head Start School Program.
Mr. Chair, can we move numbers 5 through 9, read them all, and then just vote once on the package? I think they all deal with early Head Start programs.
Okay, I think 5 would be different, but we can certainly move 6 through 9.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're on 5 now. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, Chair would now entertain a motion to move items 6 through 9.
Support. Or move it.
Support.
Properly moved and supported to move items 6 through 9. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Would also like to, if the board is in agreement, move items 9 through 16,
11 through 16.
10 through 16.
yeah. There are allocations to various school districts in varying amounts.
So, Mr. Chair, I think you want to exclude number 10. Would that be right, given that's not a Head Start?
That is sort of different, I believe.
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah, that's
9,
Genesee
11, 12, 13.
11 through 16.
So the motion will be
To move 11 through
item
16.
10.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
So now we're on item 10.
So move.
Okay,
Support.
properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Now if we could get a motion to move 11 through 16.
So move.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I could, I wonder if, I don't know if this would be Pam or,
Yes.
just a couple of questions through you, Mr. Chair, to our director. Thank you. Question one is, probably a month ago, maybe a month and a half, we voted to accept roughly a $14 million Head Start grant. I take it that these amounts fall under that or come from that. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then I just wonder, for the Head Starts that are occurring in the areas that I represent, wonder if I could get numbers at some point, and maybe they're enrolling still now for fall. I don't know what the enrollment window is, but numbers of little ones who are in Head Start programs in the areas that I represent. So for example, I see Swartz Creek on here. Would love to have some data on that. So,
Absolutely.
all right, thank you. It's always a pleasure dealing with you. I love it. You're great.
Appreciate that, sir.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
What about dealing with me?
You're okay, Mr. Freeman. She's lovely.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Dr. Brown?
I have a question for Ms. Coleman, too. Can you talk about the difference between the Meet Up, Eat Up program funding and this program funding? Are they two different things?
These are for the ones that are being lumped together, are for the actual sites for the Head Start program. The Meet Up and Eat Up would service the meal portions of, and not all of them are included in all of these schools. And I wouldn't even be able to separate out which ones are included in the Meet Up and Eat Up at this time. I can
They are
get that.
separate programming.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Thank you, Mrs. Coleman.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-826, approval of purchase order to U.S. Foods for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $30,598 to provide for the purchase of additional food and kitchen supplies.
So moved.
Mr. Chair, can we move 17 and 18 at the same time, considering they're one's U.S. Foods and one's Gordon's Foods for the same thing, and they're both fully grant funded?
Certainly. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, properly moved and supported to move 17 and 18. Any discussion?
I do. Are these supplies for the jail or the detention center? Who are these supplies for?
This is for the food program that G-Card runs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-829, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Involved Dad in an amount not to exceed $277,230 to provide fatherhood case management and care coordination services for the Healthy Start Initiative.
So moved.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, at this time, Chair entertain a motion to move items 20 through 23.
Support.
Properly moved and supported to move items 20 through 23. Any discussion?
Just wanted to acknowledge that it appears that these are allocations for a number of senior centers throughout the county. And I know that we'll have additional resolutions that do the same, and a few of these are for greater than $200,000.
Yes. Okay, is that a question?
No,
Oh,
it's a
okay.
statement
All
so
right.
that the public knows that we're getting ready to move items that
Oh,
will
right.
benefit the senior population.
Okay, Commissioner Wayhill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So these are in the amounts of $206,330. I believe all these centers are, what do we call them, Tier 1, or what's the highest funding level? Hi, Lynn.
Good evening, Commissioners. Through the chair to you. We have two funding levels. Level 3 serves 1,000 plus unduplicated per year. That's the 206,330. And then we have level 2s that serve 250 to 999 unduplicated per year, and their award amount is the 137,923.
Okay. So let me make sure I'm following us. The highest level, which is level 3, kind of counterintuitive, but it's okay, is the 206,330. Was that higher last year for the?
Over the past 3 years, the senior centers have had an increase of 20%. For this current fiscal year, all of the centers, whether they're level 2 or level 3, are either receiving the 206 or the 137.
Okay, so last fiscal year, what would they have gotten if they're level 3?
196 and some hundreds?
Okay, so this reflects the increase.
Yes, this
Okay.
is a continued increase, yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
They're getting 206 right now, correct?
Currently, 206 and
Our
137.
current fiscal year, they're at 206. That ends, September 30th, and then October 1st, they're going to get the same.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, I'll get with you offline because I think I have a different number that I've been using with my centers. So I'll check in with you on that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, wait a minute. Okay, Resolution 24837.
Move it.
Support.
Okay, properly moved and supported. And that's the agreement between Genesee County and Preferred Removal Service in amount of $365,000 to provide death scene investigative services. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move items 25 through 36.
Support.
Been moved and supported to move 25 through 36. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Okay, where am I? All right. Resolution 24854, approval of request to create, post, and fill one primary scene investigator position at Genesee County's Medical Examiner's Office.
So moved.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
That's okay. Is this a replacement or are we
Yep.
an additional?
Good evening. No, this would be a brand-new position in our office. Currently, since roughly 2010, we've had a contract provider providing this service. Right now, we have about 7 scene investigators that are all 1099 through preferred removal service. We've been lucky enough to be able to keep the same contract provider for most of those years. But this year, we noticed we were getting some outside of the county bids and requests for this type of service. So we were really concerned that we wouldn't have the same level of continuity across should the provider change, because they could bring in a whole new round of scene investigators. So Dr. Hunter felt that with one county position, we could have some continuity crossed should the contract provider change.
So, excuse me, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Commissioner Shoemaker.
are we eliminating the cost of the contract and then
Correct. So,
replaced it with this individual?
yes, so we pay per scene investigation to preferred. So this position would be operating Monday through Friday during business hours. They would take all of those calls that we would normally pay preferred to do, and we would just do them in-house through our full-time position.
If I may, one more question. You think this will be a savings actually to the county, or at least a break even?
It's gonna, it looks like truthfully, it's gonna be about a $30,000 cost to the county.
Do you think we'll see a benefit or an improvement in service then, though, for the residents of this county to
I think it
justify the
will.
30
I mean,
grand?
we'll provide a continuity should the provider, the contract provider change, most certainly. And then we can also probably speed up our response. Right now, the contract provider has an hour to get to a death scene. And I think having somebody in the office Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, they could probably be anywhere in the county within 20 minutes.
All right, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, thank you. Hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-855, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Alternative Elderly Care LLC in an amount not to exceed $325,000 to provide in-home personal care and homemaking for eligible Genesee County seniors. Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-856, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Family Services Agency of Mid-Michigan in an amount not to exceed $300,000 to provide guardianship and conservatorship services to eligible Genesee County seniors. The cost for this contract will be paid from the following account.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-857, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Family Service Agency of Mid-Michigan in an amount not to exceed $715,000 to provide in-home personal care and homemaking for eligible Genesee County seniors. Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-858, approval of an agreement between Genesee County Family Service Agency of Mid-Michigan in an amount not to exceed $350,000 to provide medical transportation with liaison services for eligible Genesee County seniors. Contract will be paid from the following account.
So moved.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-859, approval of an agreement between Genesee County Family Service of Mid-Michigan in an amount not to exceed $215,000 to provide visually and hearing impaired services for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-860, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Legal Services of Eastern Michigan in an amount not to exceed $329,000 to provide legal services for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24-861, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Michigan Community Services, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $200,000 to provide respite services for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24863, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Michigan Community Service, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $180,000 to provide adult daycare for eligible Genesee County seniors.
So moved.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24864, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Disability Network in an amount not to exceed $225,000 to provide ramp construction for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Move it.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Shoemaker.
How many ramps do they expect to build for this amount, almost $250,000?
Lynn, can you respond to that?
Through the chair to you, Commissioner Shoemaker. They're looking to build between 40 and 45 ramps with this to eliminate or reduce the current waiting list through the application process.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
So the waiting list is because there's not funds? That's why the waiting list is there, because there's not enough funds?
No, okay, the Disability Network contracts with access builders. Access builders are the ones that build and construct the ramps. So as fast as they can build them. So we might have 40 people on the waiting list. It's not because there's not the money there, it's because we're waiting for access builders and their construction to happen at each home.
So whether we give them the money or not, the problem is they don't have laborers to do the job. Is that what's going on?
I can't speak for access builders. My information comes through the Disability Network as they contract with access builders. We did put this out for bid, and unfortunately, the one response that we got was not, we didn't find that a very strong response. We were hoping to gain another construction company so that we could have a little bit more transparency. But we do know that access builders are providing quality ramps. We go out and see every single one of them after they're done. And we've had no concerns with their construction, but I can't speak on their workers or who they hire.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if they are union workers or if they're not?
Unfortunately, I cannot answer that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn. Any further discussion?
I do.
Commissioner Lloyd.
So who did you say is actually building these ramps?
Through the chair to you, access builders.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, I mean, and that's a conversation we can have offline, if this is something we can partner with someone an organization to teach young people a trade in building ramps and, be able to employ them. In the summertime, a lot of young people are looking for summer employment, but also winter employment period. So you can get a trade, but also we can use these dollars to be able to, compensate some of our youth as well. Let's talk offline. Maybe, Josh, maybe you can help facilitate something? Sure. Or we can have a discussion about that. Because this is a program that's ongoing. We're always building ramps, right? For the most part, so, thanks.
Just to
Commissioner
clarify,
Wade.
is the contractor actually hired by the Disability Network? Is that what I heard?
Correct.
I see. So we're a little removed from that, but even so, I like the idea of maybe stimulating some partnerships where we could involve young people in building some of these potentially. I know at the college we have a youth build program where they build homes or a home. I don't know if that would be an option at all, but obviously Disability Network would have to be involved in the conversation. Thank you.
And again, we are very open and would love to find another organization, company to enhance this program as well.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yep. Thank you, Lynn. Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24865, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and St. Luke New Life Center in an amount not to exceed $275,000 to provide lawn care and snow maintenance for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Move it.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24866, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Smith and Clausigus. Kalakowitz in an amount
Close enough.
not to exceed $45,000 to provide professional audit services. Is it, okay, properly moved and supported, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24867, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Valley Area Agency on Aging in an amount not to exceed $170,460 to provide intake, referral, and telephone screening services for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24868, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and VAAA in an amount not to exceed $293,053 to provide case management services for eligible Genesee County seniors.
So moved.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, item 51, if we can postpone that, I believe that we need to update. Is this 1.5 million the updated number from G-Card?
Okay, without objection, we'll drop that.
Nope, we can move it.
Oh, I'm
You said
sorry.
they updated it.
Okay, okay, at this, resolution 24871,
Support.
okay, and that's a MOU between Genesee County and G-Card in an amount not to exceed $1,580,096 to provide home-delivered meals to eligible Genesee County seniors. Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Dr. Beverly?
How long will that amount take us through? Is that for the entire year, or?
Through the chair to you, Dr. Brown. Yes, this is for the entire fiscal year. And there is an increase in the award of $150,000 to go towards vehicle maintenance, replacement, purchase, so that we may have a more uniform fleet for the G-Card home delivered meals program and drivers.
And this is federally funded, or?
No, this is 100% Genesee County senior millage. All of these
Oh, the millage,
contracts that you've been approving are all through your Genesee County senior millage.
I guess I'm asking because Josh and I had, is
Yeah.
this different from?
It is. So we provided some gap funding this year for a meal program at the senior centers that ends October 1st. That's what her question is.
I'm so
What-
sorry.
Yep. What does that look like beginning October 1st, and, how are those meals going to be delivered?
Okay, I'm sorry. Forgive me, Dr. Brown.
No, forgive me for not clarifying.
So in February, there was a conversation between the senior center directors, G-Card, and VAAA, and our office just happened to be there as well, about how at the state and federal level, they were saying that no longer, since the emergency order has been lifted, no longer could congregate meals be taken out of the center as to-go meals to be counted as congregate. They had to be billed as to-go meals or home-delivered meals. That caused some confusion, some miscommunication. So in order to remedy the situation for the rest of the fiscal year, I came before you wanting to fund G-Card the $216,000 that would cover the rest of this current fiscal year. so that G-Card could still provide the meals for our seniors, and that the senior centers would have more of a time to transition their seniors and their meal program to come October 1, that all meals are a family-style congregate meal within the senior center. So it was a Band-Aid funding to kind of just, we want the seniors to have their meal, number one, but also we didn't want G-Card in the red over this, and we didn't want the senior centers panicking. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Thank you, Lynn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Resolution 24873, approval of an MOU between Genesee County and the Office of Genesee County Probate Court in an amount not to exceed $85,847 to provide guardianship and conservatorship reviews for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution 24874, approval of a MOU between Genesee County and the Office of Genesee County's Prosecuting Attorney in an amount not to exceed $53,200 to provide advisory and prosecuting services to the Elder Abuse and Exploitation Prevention Program for eligible Genesee County seniors.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 24875, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and the Office of Genesee County Sheriff in an amount not to exceed $500,000 to provide for elder abuse and exploitation prevention services.
So move.
Properly moved and supported. Has it been supported?
It has, yes.
Okay, properly moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Resolution at last. 24881, approval of an agreement between Genesee County and Shauna Lee in an amount not to exceed $200,160 to provide program evaluation services for the Healthy Start Initiative. The agreement runs August 1st, 24 through March 31st, 29.
So move.
Support.
Properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there any other business before this?
No, sir.
Thank goodness.
You were amazing, Mr. Chair.
Well,
Great
thank
job.
you.
You gotta
This
jump.
meeting is adjourned.
At 6:44 PM, I'd like to call this Public Works Committee to order. Roll call. Sir,
Commissioner Lloyd,
present.
Commissioner Winfrey,
Here.
Commissioner Ellenberg, Commissioner Brown,
Here.
Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Shoemaker. Present. Commissioner Kuzma, Commissioner Wayhill,
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
All right, approval of the minutes. What is your pleasure from the previous meeting?
Move approval.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye, of accepting them?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, motion passes. Are there any individuals from the public that wish to address this committee? Any public comment? Any public comment? Public comment is now closed. Any communications, sir?
Mr. Chairman, we do have a communication. Patrick Linehan, our Parks Director, is here tonight to give us an update on the Riverfront project.
Thank you, sir. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak to you tonight. If you've made it down in between Garland and Grand Traverse recently, you'll see all the activity that's going on as part of the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project. So this project all came about around 2014. There's a blue panel discussion that was done at the state level, and you had the Hamilton Dam, which was a critical dam that needed to be removed, and then they were also talking about, the possibility of a state park being in Flint, Michigan. So fast forward now, we are actually seeing activity on that. So we're going to give a brief presentation. Natalie's going to talk about the Flint Riverfront project, and I'll talk about the state park. So.
Okay, good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm Natalie Pruitt. I'm a community development consultant, and I was hired by the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation a couple of years ago to manage the implementation of the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project, as well as the State Park Project, which now includes the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project. And I'm happy to be here before you this evening to give you some information on both plans and updates on work that's actually happening. So as Patrick just mentioned, the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project has been in the works for decades, both planning, but also some implementation. So as you can see in this photograph, this is what Hamilton Dam, what's left of it, looks like today. This is not what the site looked like 6+ years ago. So it's not all planning work that's been happening over the last 15 years, but there certainly has been a fair amount of planning work. So the goal of the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project is to transform the Flint Riverfront from a neglected resource into a healthy and vibrant community asset. And as Patrick started to allude to, Hamilton Dam is really the starting point and the center point for this project. So the dam was built in 1920 for purposes of industry, and approximately 10 years ago, it was classified as a public health threat. It was classified as a high hazard critical dam, and so at that time, assessments began on what to do with the dam, to repair it, to remove it, and ultimately the decision was made to remove it for a variety of reasons. And once that decision was made, then time and effort was put into thinking about, well, what exactly does that mean? Because you can't simply remove the large barrier that sits in the Flint River. Doing so would cause problems for flood management, for water management, and things like that. And so over the course of about 10 years, a new plan was created to remove Hamilton Dam and replace it with a series of 6 riffles. Now, when I was hired 2 years ago, I asked, what is a riffle? A riffle is a cluster of boulders that is meant to mimic what you see on riverbanks in nature. So the idea is you remove the single dam, and in 6 different points along the Flint River, you put in these clusters of boulders, and by doing so, once the project is finished, the river elevation should pretty much be where it is today. You shouldn't have, places where the water level is significantly lower or significantly higher. And one of the huge benefits of this project, beyond removing the threat of Hamilton Dam, is by doing so, the river will now be passable for recreational purposes, but also for fish and aquatic species passage. So this map here, you can kind of see where we're sitting today is just beyond the southern stretch of this map. But this map shows where these riffles that I've been talking about are going to be built along the Flint River. And if you look in the bottom left corner that says Fabry Dam and Riffle 1, that's the site of the work that you're seeing today along the Flint River. So that's where work has begun. And the message that we have is that, again, this is not just a plan, but construction on this project has actually begun. So this river work that we're talking about is fully funded. Construction is fully under contract. Construction began in June of this past year, this past spring, and should be finished by next spring. So this map shows you where the river work is happening. I mentioned Fish Passage, this map that's now on your right. The lines that are in purple shows all of the new waterways across Genesee County that will be newly opened for Fish Passage once the project is completed, and that amounts to approximately 25 miles of waterways across the county. Now, the work that's part of this project, it does not stop at the Flint River. So the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project includes work upland, so in Riverbank Park, which is the first slide that we've got here. So in Riverbank Park, which we all know is located downtown on the banks of the Flint River, its use and its condition isn't what it once was. I remember going there as a little girl and watching Tone Loc on the 4th of July with fireworks. So part of this project is improving the river, but then at the same time taking advantage of creating new places along the river where people can fish, people can put in their kayaks, and people can enjoy the riverfront. And so the vision for Riverbank Park that's part of this project is renovating Riverbank Park. You can see here a rendering for amphitheater block. So this is the block that is going to be the next door neighbor to the new county administration center. So you can see here, Riverbank Park here still looks somewhat like it does today, but you can see that there's now access to the river directly, including ADA access, as you can see in this rendering here. So creating river access points is key. Also improving public safety. So one of the big challenges with Riverbank Park is in many places it's difficult to see. So it's difficult to know, if someone is 10 feet around a corner, it's difficult to see the street. And so a lot of the improvements at Riverbank Park really consist of opening up sight lines so that you can see, 25, 35 feet away, you can see the roads and you can see the river. And some of the other improvements that are planned for the park include things like new lighting, new landscaping, and even public art. The last piece that's in the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project is Vietnam Veterans Park. So this sits just over a mile north of Riverbank Park, still on the Flint River. And this site is important because without Hamilton Dam, you'll be able to launch your kayak, canoe, what have you, here, and then you'll actually be able to take your way down the Flint River from this site. Currently, you couldn't do that because pretty quickly you would bump up against Hamilton Dam. And so the improvements for Vietnam Veterans Park include some of the things that we just mentioned, but new pavilion, new picnic tables, boat and kayak launch, as well as new landscaping and new lighting. So all of this work is part of the new state park. You can see in that turquoise color on the map here the footprint of the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project, which is now just one piece of the broader state park.
Right. So thank you, Natalie. As you look here, you'll see the breadth of the project. So you're looking at over 230 acres for the state park up here. And as you look at it, you're connecting the urban area with the more naturalized areas as well. So it offers a lot of different opportunities through the state park. March 2022, the state of Michigan made the announcement that they would be investing with a state park in Flint, and that was a $30.2 million investment. The transfer of the properties has all happened, and we do have public land in Flint that is owned by the DNR, but we don't quite have a state park or a name for the state park yet. We're hoping that will be coming soon. So, yeah, the goal was to create new recreational and outdoor opportunities for Flint and Genesee County residents and visitors. You know, a lot of this started with the development of the Chevy Commons site, which took a brownfield and made it into a very nice and used public space. Almost every time you go down into Chevy Commons, you will see people using it. You'll also see a lot of wildlife out there. We have native plants down there, and you know, it brings in insects and birds and that, and you know, it's a nice natural area right in the heart of the city. So the state park has a bunch of different entities working towards, of course, us here at Genesee County, the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, the City of Flint, and the DNR, all to make this possible. So the objectives to bring the state park to Flint is to establish 230 new acres of state park land, improve the habitat along the Flint River, which a lot of that is being done through the Riverfront Restoration Project, fuel economic development, and enhance the quality of life for residents of the city of Flint and Genesee County. So as I alluded to earlier, there are 5 separate units that will be connected, some through some new non-motorized trails. And one of the important things is this park is going to be within a 10-minute drive for all City of Flint residents and a 30-minute drive for everybody in Genesee County. So when you look at National Recreation and Park Association standards, you know, you want a park to be within a quarter-mile or 10-minute walk. So this is going to help that for a lot of. So we have the 5 park units. We have Chevy Commons, Riverbank Park, Happy Hollow Nature Area, which is the old state nature preserve behind what is now Powers High School, the Mott Recreation Area, which is the disc golf course side. The city park stays on the other side as a city park. Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the Connection, and the Iron Belt Trail. So at the bottom of the Y, you'll see that, and that is part of the Grand Traverse Greenway, which will be the Iron Belt Trail, and that will connect. And then over to the left, that large green spot, that is the Mott Recreation Area, and the purple will be a connection between Chevy Commons and so what you'll see in the state park, you'll see non-motorized trails and pathways, pedestrian bridges over waterways, playground equipment and amenities, lighting, public safety improvements, pavilions and benches, amenities to support fishing, boat, kayak, and canoe launches, landscaping, restrooms, improved signage, parking areas, and public art. So Chevy Commons is 67 acres. This was property that was originally the city of Flint's. Genesee County purchased that to make improvements, and then that was transferred over to the state of Michigan earlier this year. Here you can kind of see some renderings of the changes at Chevy Commons over the years. So Chevy Commons, for anybody who's not familiar, was a Chevy plant called Chevy in the Hole. And you can see the changes over the years here to the beautiful landscape that we have on the bottom. So one of the things that we're looking at in Chevy Commons is to create a signature playscape for our residents, but also something that will bring people in. So here are some of the renderings for this. Currently, we're working with MVVA to come up with designs for that, and we're in the early stages of that, but things are looking promising. The Mott Recreation Area is 72 acres of property that is owned by the city of Flint that is leased to the state of Michigan. That is the old Mott Golf Course, which its most current use is a disc golf course. It's located along the Flint River on the western Flint city limits. We have a great friends group out there that actually helped maintain the park for the years that the city wasn't maintaining it. So there's a lot of buy-in in the community around this park, and they have a lot of great pride. They throw events out there like Mott Fest and that. Recently, the clubhouse was restored and is maintained by the neighborhood association. Happy Hollow Nature Area is 39 acres. It's a combination of City of Flint property leased to the state and property that was donated to the state of Michigan. So it's located along the Flint River and Schwartz Creek. If you've never been back there, it's absolutely beautiful. You know, even though you're right by the highway, it doesn't even seem like it. So this will be very exciting when we get this done. We're going to have a network of trails out through there and looking at an all ages mountain bike trail out there. So people of different abilities, families can come out and see what some of the proposed trails are looking like. If you look to the far right where it ends, that is where the Grand Traverse Greenway will be. So this will connect through the rest of the state park. Hammerberg is over in the lower left, and that's where there will be a parking lot. That'll be the only ways to access the property. So the vision of the state park was a result of past and ongoing engagement of residents and community members. So in this picture here, you'll see we held a community workshop at Mott Recreation Area to get the ideas of what people wanted to see, and then those were the things that were worked into the designs by Wade Trim. So a couple highlights to date. We have done a lot of community input, outreach, and engagement campaign, and you can see that the plans that we have put together. The land assembly, out of the 230 acres, we're only working on 1.5 acres, and that is the 1.5 acre parking lot that is right next to GM Tool and Die, right across from the Watershed Coalition. And as of our last coordination meeting, it seems like things are moving out of the Attorney General's office, and it looks like it should be happening very soon. So that will be an important landmark for us that all the property has been acquired. Maintenance and operations, we have an agreement with the state of Michigan for operations of the state park. While this is a newer idea, the state does do contract work with Oakland County for Holly Oaks, and then with Saginaw County for old GM property up there. So the sustainability of this, the state of Michigan and the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation creating an endowment for the state park, and that is how it will be maintained going forward. So we are a contractor for the state of Michigan to build out the park, but also to maintain it. So development, right now, we have secured $42 million, and construction began this spring and is expected to continue through 2026. So here's kind of a timeline of, status and timeline. Obviously, the big thing right now is the Flint Riverfront Restoration Project. We have a lot of ARPA dollars tied up in that, so everything with that project will be completed by fall 2026. But you'll see a lot of the work being done here this next March, including the Hamilton Dam area. So the trail section, which is the Y, right now we are looking at getting the design. CS Mott Foundation has offered to fund some design for that, and we'll be looking at a 2026 start. We're looking at about 3.5 miles that will connect the state park south. Happy Hollow, we have a design in progress right now that we're working on, and we'll start to do some work here in the spring, and that should be done by the fall. Mott Park and the connecting trail, right now our connection is a little up in the air because of site limitations. So we're working with Kettering to do some rerouting through their southern part of their campus. Mont Rec area. We're working with the neighborhood group to figure out some of the projects that they've identified as long-term and how that meets the state's goals moving forward. And Chevy Commons, we're pretty much there. Really, the main thing right now is just working on the play garden. So thank you. We'll be happy to entertain any questions anybody might have.
Commissioner Winfrey.
Yeah, in the, backing up to Riverbank Park, did I see that the amphitheater was eliminated?
No, the amphitheater is still there, and it's still there in its current form. It's just there's more access to the river. So actually, this picture that's up right now, you can see where the amphitheater is in the upper right-hand part.
Right.
It's just having some better access.
Commissioner,
I'm
Brown.
super excited about this. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm super excited about this. It just looks transformational, really. And so my question has to do with the public art piece. Can you speak a little bit about, where and when the public art and who will design the public art? Will it have a theme?
Sure. So moving forward, obviously we're not going to do any public art until the project's complete. But we're looking at areas that include the water wall block where some public art has been installed in the past. We're also looking at the underpasses where the different blocks connect. And then, anywhere that we might feel that there might be graffiti in that. Usually when you install public art like this, there's that artist pride and you don't get the graffiti. So we want to be strategic on.
Commissioner Wheel.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Very exciting. I agree with Commissioner Brown. I was trying to follow the ownership of the different properties, or I think you called them state park units. Is that right? There's 7 of them. It sounds to me like they're all either leased by the state, owned by the city of Flint, I guess, leased by the state, or owned directly by the state. Is that correct?
Correct. So Chevy Commons is Chevy Commons and Happy Hollow are the only properties that are wholly owned by the state of Michigan.
Okay.
The rest are leased by the city of Flint for a 30-year lease too.
Okay. So City of Flint owns Veterans Park, Mott Park, the other pieces, and they're leasing it. And then are all the units then technically part of the state park?
Correct.
Even though it's almost like a gerrymandered congressional district, right? But they're all part of the state park, okay? And then I kept trying to place where Stockton House and Spring Grove are, but those are private property, right? Do they fit into this at all?
No, they don't.
Okay, so they're not part of the state park, but that's a nonprofit? You look like you know something and you don't want to tell.
I'm happy to tell. So Spring Grove is owned by the land bank.
Is what?
Owned by the land bank.
Oh, I see.
And they're not currently part of the vision, but there have been some discussions that at a minimum there's connectivity and, perhaps long-term they could be incorporated.
Okay, because there's a natural spring there? Right. Is there interest, would the state have interest incorporating that if the land bank, or is that not something you know on either side?
I'm sure it would be on the table if brought forward. I will say that the endowment will be pretty tight moving forward. So the endowment was specifically built for the design that we have now. So adding extra would create some.
Understood. So I was going to ask about that. So the endowment was 18 plus 22 million, I think. Is that right? And that's expected to spin off enough to pay you all to maintain all of those pieces.
Correct.
Or to pay us, the county, right? And you. All right, thank you. It looks great. I'm excited to see it come to fruition. Thank you.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I have just Few questions, basically just one. You'd mentioned maintenance and operations as covered. Does that include a park ranger, also a park rangers to
Correct,
protect
yes.
the facility? How many are you looking at?
Altogether, we're looking at having a full-time there during park operations. So 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
If I may continue, are those Genesee County Park Rangers? Are
Correct.
those state park? No, so they're Genesee County
Yes,
Park Rangers.
so we are contracted 100% to do it. You know, we will enforce the state park rules as needed on the property.
Okay. If I may continue, just a few questions. How many rangers did you plan on having there?
It will be one on duty within the state park during park hours.
Okay, at all times, or is that just during?
Yeah, so
Daylight hours.
with downtown and Riverbank Park, you know, we realize that it is a spot that people use for transportation to get back and forth, whether they be U of M students or just people downtown. We're still in talks with the state on whether that's going to be, that section of the park is going to be open 24 hours or if we're going to have a hard close. Problem with having a hard close on a space so open like that in an urban area, you know, we'll be spinning our wheels a lot to
Enforce it.
move people out, so.
Okay, so, and you think there's enough funds there to cover that? Even with the cost of labor on the rise like it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Patrick, can you speak a little bit about the coordination with other public safety programs like, what is it, Arrowhead?
So.
That is also kind of in that area, so it's not just the parks that'll be there.
Yeah, so every month, all the local police departments meet downtown, and we talk about you know, what's going on, because you know, if there's something happening in Buckham Alley, you know, that can affect what's happening in the state park and vice versa. We make sure that we have coordination and everybody knows what's going on. Also with the U of M Flint being right there, you know, they have a presence through some of the state park, and we're looking right now with maybe possibly moving the blue light phone and camera system that U of M has on their campus through Riverbank Park. We had a meeting about 2 weeks ago with them, and you know, it seems like it's something that's completely doable, and we're looking at costs and how we might be able to work that in.
Dr. Brown?
So I walk down through that area quite often with some of my crim training this summer. And one thing that I noticed is that there aren't a lot of trash cans around. And so we want to what extent are you going to make sure that there are attractive trash cans all along that way to help keep it clean?
Yeah, so that is part of the design process, upgraded site amenities and lighting. That's one thing when you go through the park right now, none of the lighting works anymore. So it's not, you know, it doesn't give you that safe, welcoming feeling in that. So all that is part of the design process moving forward. At one point in time, they had the nice looking permanent trash cans through there, and over the years, they disappeared. So we'll be looking at replacing those as well, along with benches and railings and that. So, you know, one of the things with this project is, you know, how do we increase safety? You know, a lot of that railing is old and starting to fail. So the whole park will get new railing, new lighting, new site amenities.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing no additional comments, I have just a couple things. Awesome in terms of what you have shared. One thing that jumps out, and I've heard it from a number of seniors, particularly as it relates to Chevy Commons, is there is no representation of one of the most pivotal moments, particularly in labor history and even here in the city of Flint, represented on that site, and that's the sit-down strike of 1936, where thousands of workers took charge of that plant, which was the Fisher body plant, General Motors Fisher body plant, which housed one of two of the major dies that General Motors had in 1936 that stamped all of their vehicles. So that site was so significant that unless the vehicles came through there or one other site in the country, General Motors couldn't build facilities. But, that sit-down strike ended up having, involvement of Governor Frank Murphy, involvement of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the National Guard, who were on site to keep the peace when General Motors wanted the National Guard to come in and basically throw all of the striking workers out. And I can go on and on and on. The middle classes, as we know it, as well as organized labor, would not have become what it did at that time if it had not been for that occurrence, a lot of injuries and so on and so forth. And so what I've heard from folks is that, to have a state park there and not have some representation of what took place on that site is something that should be considered. So I guess my question to you is, has there been any consideration? Is there any plan to have some type of representation there? And you talked a little bit about the naming of the park, where you have the, slides and so on and so forth. This is not my suggestion, but maybe something can be named out there as a part of that, and maybe some monuments and such. So briefly, your thoughts.
Yeah, so that is an important part of what's going to happen out there. As there's the transition from the county park to the state park, we knew that was going to happen for a while. We didn't make a move then because we didn't know how that would fit in that. So one of the things we're talking with the DNR right now is doing both physical signage and information, but also digital as well. Through GIS, doing story maps and that sort of thing. So people, you can read about it, but you can scan a QR code, get more information, even see what it used to look like versus what it looks now. So it's definitely a part of what's going to happen in the future out there.
One follow-up, thank you so much for that information. I don't know if you've ever had an opportunity to go out to, it's right off of Atherton Road behind the UAW regional office there. There's a sit-down Memorial Park. There's been partnerships with the state of Michigan and others to kind of build that park out. And if you go there, you'll see an actual brick wall that has actual windows from that plant facility. The windows in the brick wall on that at that site are actually windows that were broken during that strike. There's, representations of the kind of seats that they were sitting in when they sat down, and so on and so forth. I want to encourage you and those that are looking to do something to take a drive over and walk through that particular park for some ideas of some really good ideas of some things that could be done out there, whereas not just the digital representatives and story maps and so on and so forth, but something that kind of depicts what happened out there on that site. That's all I have. Any other comments? All right, seeing none, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Absolutely, phenomenal job. Thank you. All right, so as we come to our agenda now, new business, the resolution before us now is Resolution 2024-720, approval of a purchase order to Missouri Tie LLC for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $18,949 for a revised purchase order total of $37,898 to provide for the purchase of 326 additional railroad ties for Genesee County's historic Huckleberry Railroad. This resolution has been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Resolution 2024-752, approval of a purchase order to Michigan Cat for the fiscal year ending 2024 in an amount not to exceed $164,902.47 to provide for the purchase of 1 excavator and 3 attachments. What is your pleasure?
I move support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Item number 4, Resolution 2024. Item number 3, did I skip it? Oh, okay. Resolution number 3, 2024-821, approval of a purchase agreement and lease for the Burton Health Clinic.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay.
Nay.
Most, 1 nay. All right, motion passes. Resolution 2024-878, approval of agreement between Genesee County and William E. Walter Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $1,024,000 to provide for the replacement water heaters at Genesee County's jail.
So move.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Shoemaker?
If Mr. Freeman has this, if he could provide for me what we've spent so far on the jail this year,
Yeah, we can get that either
if you
through
could.
fiscal services,
I
yeah.
know, I know we have the fascia issue with
The
the
lot.
building, and the building was built probably to last, long enough to get us 5 years ago. But this is something as a board we need to look towards the future with, and this is another capital improvement we're gonna have to look to, possibly a new jail. And I know it's election year and nobody wants to talk about scary things like this, but something really needs to be done with this because we are spending so much on maintenance and upkeep on this that it's becoming a problem, plus safety issue for not just our officers, but the people who have temporary or permanent residence there, it seems like. So I would like to put that in everybody's sights because this is just it's $1 million just for one of the repairs we need to make on the facility. We've had elevators, we've had the fascia, and there's just a lot out there.
Well, we haven't done the fascia yet. That's probably a $6 to $7 million price
Yep.
tag.
That's what I'm saying. We know it's coming from there. So, all right, thank you.
Any additional discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion passes. Our last resolution, Resolution 2024-893, approval of a contract between Genesee County and Sorensen Gross Company LLC in an amount not to exceed $980,000 to provide for the construction of Genesee County's Legal Resource Center and Legal Records Division.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any discussion?
Yeah, was this let out for bid?
Barbara Manier is here, but I believe it all was put out to bid, wasn't it, Barbara? Yep.
Okay. All right.
It was put out to bid.
Yeah, no questions, just, you answered it.
Want me to identify myself, Barbara Manier from Circuit Court, in response to the question raised. It certainly was let out for bid, and this is the lowest bid, and we're asking that you allow us to move forward.
All right, any additional discussion? Commissioner Shoemaker?
Once again, $1 million roughly. My question would be this one, what building is this going in? What building?
Barbara's here, she can speak to it. It's a circuit court building.
Chair to you, Commissioner Shoemaker. It's going into the Circuit Court.
How big of space are we talking here?
The existing space right now, which was the law library, which will be essentially where this is located, is about 3,300 square feet. And we're annexing some additional space that's adjacent in court administration. So I think when all is said and done, it's about 4,000 square feet.
So is this furniture? Is this, or this
No.
is just the remodel?
No, it's construction.
So how much is that per square foot then, to remodel this?
You have me at a loss on that point.
I'm just gonna get my calculator out if you don't mind. Sometimes you see me sitting
Well,
here.
you
I'm
have to
not-
remember there's a second part to this, and that is the existing, what used to be the clerk's office, now the legal records office has some part of this, so it's a two-piece project.
So 6,000 square feet maybe?
For the record, I don't know the answer to that, but probably pretty close. Part of it's in the 1926 structure, which certainly adds a little bit to the cost of something like
No,
that.
I understand, and I appreciate that.
Certainly.
But if you had 6,000 square feet, it's $163 a square foot to remodel.
That's not bad.
Well, as someone, and like I've told you, I know just enough that I do have my residential builder's license, and I do hang out with several people who do construction. For remodel, to me, you say it's not bad. To me, to the average resident who can, struggling to pay groceries and everything else like that, they see $1 million and $163 a foot. That's quite a bit. Carpet like this put down the floor is $4 a square foot. There's other costs, and I'm sure it's going to be immaculate. I just think that's a tremendously obnoxious amount to spend for a remodel. You know, there are businesses that are building brand-new structures for less than that. So I'm just, what's going in there? What type of
So to your.
amenities are going to be in there?
Yeah, so to your question, you know, the Board of Commissioners have passed a purchasing policy that requires us to go out to bid.
Yep.
And then we are required to choose from those folks that decided to bid. If we want to change the purchasing policy where we just go out and pick somebody that we think has a lower cost, we could probably change some of the costs for some of these projects. Going out to bid doesn't always give us the best cost on it, but that's what we're required to do. So.
I understand that. I just wonder what is going into this facility that it's $1 million to remodel it. And my concern is by the time it gets done, you know, I've been here long enough to realize that costs come back and you guys go, oh, we need another $40,000 or $50 or something like that. Now, we've been better with that. I think the juvenile detention center, you left a lot of room in there to do that. But like I said, and I love the faces I get from administrative staff, and I thank Delrico Lloyd for his backing up of me that staff probably should maybe, you know, not be as demonstrative with their opinions when generally someone speaks, but I'm not against this, but this is, you guys act like it's nothing. It's $1 million to remodel a space, $163 a foot. It's not a home. You know, so that's, I just am wondering what's going in it before I'm there. If somebody could get me before the next meeting, exactly what the layout is, how many bathrooms are being remodeled and so on and so forth. If everything is, I'd feel much better understanding that. Are there bathrooms in the
I beg your
remodel?
pardon?
Are there bathrooms going into the remodeled portions?
There is one bathroom for a family, sort of larger one being added in the Legal Resource Center. There are no bathrooms in the existing space of legal records, so we're putting 2 there.
Okay, all right.
And we positioned those, not to get into the molecular conversation about it, but if you want to, I can, and I would certainly with you
Well,
anytime.
I would appreciate it.
I would,
That'd
for
be
sure,
wonderful.
for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Wayhill and then Dr. Brown.
Yeah, so I was listening carefully to what Commissioner Shoemaker was saying about what's going in there, and I was thinking he was asking programmatically what was going to go in there, but I think you've presented on that once or twice. But you were really talking about sort of the
Cosmetic.
yeah, what it's going to look like, the rooms, et cetera. So it sounds like you got some answers, but are going to talk more.
And if I remember correctly, you brought in a drawing one time with some
did.
beautiful light fixtures across the ceiling that wrapped around, very flowing, if I remember that. But looking at what I saw, thank you for addressing that. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, my answer.
I yield, I'm done.
I just didn't see $163 a foot. And like I said, I'd just like a little more detail on it beforehand. I'm willing to stop the conversation for the sake, not just of time, but the fact is that I just would like to see that, to know what's going in there at that cost. You know, we just see money flow through here so much at the county level that we just all look at it like, oh, that's just $1 million, it's $1 million, but, you know, it's not our money. And there's some things that we've approved over and over again, some things we don't, but this is just one that when I look at it, I just think, holy cow, that's a lot for something I do have a better understanding of than some other issues of how it goes together, how the process works. So I'd like to know a little more about it as we move forward. And thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for.
I will be certainly happy to do that anytime you want to do that. I'll make myself available.
Okay, thank you so much.
Certainly, certainly.
Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just going to echo, first of all, what Commissioner Wayhill said, that we did have a chance to look at the blueprints for the Legal Resource Center probably 1 or 2 months ago, and we saw what that plan would be like. And in terms of it being, I'm fully aware this is other people's money, it's not our money, but I look at this as a return on investment and an asset for the people, because this resource center will be designed specifically for people who are without counsel. And so it will be an asset for the people once it's all completed. And with the key, it's a key legal kiosk that really is, I think, quite innovative. And so at the end of the day, I think that we have to look at the bigger picture, not just the construction of it itself, but we have to look at the return for our constituents.
Commissioner Shoemaker.
I know I promised I'd stop, but, if I could respond just a little bit. It's not my intent to say we don't need this. So please don't take it as that. If that's what you're reading from me, that is not what my intent is. My intent is to say, you can provide the same service by remodeling it for a lower cost. I mean, my family, if a lot of people are familiar with Aldi, my family shops at Aldi. It does not cost as much as other places, but yet my kids still get fed. And it's pretty good food. So the fact is if we could do this for less and people can still get the same service, we should be trying to do that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not against, so it's to be very clear, I'm not against this. I voted for it, saw the beautiful drawings of it, but the fact is what I saw in there from what I'm seeing does not justify what I'm looking at $163 and whatever it was if we did 6,000 square feet. So, and this section's 4, and the other section supposedly if we go with 2. So just so be clear, once again, in case I wasn't, not against this, just the spending of the project is where I'm questioning as far as the layout and design.
Any additional discussion? All right, all in favor of approving or sending this to our full commission, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Nay.
All right, motion passes. We are to the end of this agenda.
Yeah, Commissioner, I've got 3 issues to bring up. First one is a parks issue. You guys have a copy of a resolution that was passed in January, I think,
February
of
1.
'23. It was for some pit toilets, exciting stuff. There was some delay in getting those here, and we're going to bring an updated resolution to you, to the board on Wednesday. That's it, yeah. That's where you guys approved it at that point, but we need to get an updated resolution to you guys to approve it for this fiscal year, so that's going to come to you directly to the board next Wednesday. So I just wanted you to know that was coming, know that we're not pulling the okey-doke on anybody.
What was the delay?
Patrick can speak to what the delay was.
In other words, you're on your own.
So, we were looking at a 6 to 8 month build when we did it. They had some delay on their part. And then as far as delivery and excavation in the wintertime, that, didn't work out. So we had to, push it to early spring.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you'll see a resolution that'll be an add-on that you don't see here tonight. The other request, and we've got to work with Brian at Corporation Counsel, the treasurer is requesting on a property that had gone through a legal battle over ownership, and that she is now foreclosed on the burned-out apartment buildings on Ballinger and, is that Westcombe comes all the way through there, across from Cody School? Is that Westcombe?
Yeah.
Yeah. She would like the county to purchase those. She'll pay for them, obviously, out of DTR, but that's going to take action from the county board to do that because she'd like to work on demolition of those, that commercial structure immediately, but we need to own it first. So you're going to see a resolution on Wednesday that would take that property before it goes to the land bank. There'll be some cost involved there, but it's a cost that will be covered by the treasurer, so you'll see that. The final thing is I'd like to put a work group together to rethink how we're operating motor pool and whether or not we should continue to operate motor pool with our own employees or if we should look at doing something different there. What I'll work with the chairs to put together a small subcommittee that would include the chair of Public Works, which is Commissioner Ellenberg, Chair of Finance, which is Commissioner Kuzma, and Commissioner Shoemaker. We'll look at some ideas see if they would work as we, we're starting to rethink that dairy campus, and motor pool would probably be moving over there. So how does that look in a year or two, and do we continue operating the way that we are now? So I'll work with the chair of the committee to create a subcommittee that will study that and bring back some recommendations to this board.
All right, is that all? Anything else? This meeting is adjourned.